Today's a kickoff of the IT Asset Management Month, and we are grateful for Dr. Barb and the ITAM team for being the voice of our industry and for driving conversations around challenging subjects, trends, and specifically this particular month in the ITAD arena. Over the past 18 months, ITAD members have been taking the IT asset disposition services survey, and the results are in. It's astounding the insights that you're going to get and the prevailing trends that you're going to learn to the disposition world of IT asset management and across so many different varying industries. I'm Paul Baum, and I'm going to talk to you about the 4 key areas that we came into conclusion on the most challenging parts of our ITAD industry. And over probably the most challenging last 3 years, from COVID to during COVID to post-COVID. And we're going to talk about how you could carve a path to success as we weave through and head into 2024. So challenge number 1, data security trends, right? This was the highest ranking amongst all the survey responses. The focus was on data standardization for various devices, mostly talking about laptops and servers, but also smartphones and other data-bearing devices. And then it shifts towards device wiping versus device destruction, which kind of makes sense, right? So this shift towards device wiping over physical destruction and shredding really makes sense. And why does that make so much sense? Is there's this rise in remote hybrid workforces and its effect on data security. So the more that we're working remotely, the less opportunity for us to bring our devices to work, right? The less opportunity to get all these devices together at once and do some sort of data destruction. The other piece that's preventing physical data destruction are the new laptops, right? And new devices that have come out that have integrated memory modules that are really hard drives like SSD, and also covers on the bottom of their laptops that make it really difficult to get to the hard drive. So the other piece that we're finding is there's a massive amount of increased encryption for hard drives and other data-bearing devices. With this encryption, organizations are feeling way more secure about having their devices sent back to their ITAD provider or one of their centers where these devices can then be wiped. Well, according to Gartner, in 2023, the global security and risk spend was estimated to be at $88 billion. In 24, it's projected to increase 14% to $215 billion. With this significant focus on security spending, the ITAD process is more critical than ever to organizations and their entire digital ecosystem. Security functions that enable us to work with agility, right? We now can work without compromise to security, knowing that our entire IT lifecycle is being managed more securely, which is why we cannot underestimate the importance of a really good, secure ITAD partner. Mandatory automated certificates of data destruction for every single data-bearing device are happening throughout the entire industry. What does this really mean? Organizations are mandating that they will not do business with an ITAD provider unless they have some sort of automated function to do data wiping and have an automatic data destruction certificate for every single data-bearing device by serial number. This way, it makes it really, really easy for audits. So that's challenge number 1, data security trends. Let's talk about challenge number 2, chain of security and custody in asset resale. So we have some really interesting results as we look into the impact of sustainability and circular economy on our ITAD programs. The uptick in the chain of custody around the next user, not you as the first user, but really who's the next user in line. And Dr. Barb always says, right, your nothing is someone else's everything. Who's someone else's everything is that next user in line. So we're seeing this massive uptick in resale or reuse as an intended device in this growing trend in IT asset disposition. The challenges here, right, are the perception of what the equipment values are over time. Perception is not reality. Here in the United States, there's been a steady state of values for an IT asset at end of life for you after 3, 4, or 5 years. And that's going to lower income and to folks that are looking for affordable technology. Where you may see a massive change in resale values, we'll talk about in one of our challenges coming up. But collectively, IT is improving on this circular economy. And again, if we were to look at Gartner's research today, only about 20% of hardware vendors today have portfolios that are linked to circular activities. But that jumps by 80% by 2030. I mean, 2030 is around the corner. That's literally 6 years away. In fact, the remanufacturing or reuse of end-of-life devices by your organizations has been that trend towards not shipping them overseas, but keeping them here in the United States. Why? Because for most organizations, they really want to see that impact of chain of custody. In other words, where is my device actually going? So most IT organizations will be driving towards these similar goals the same way OEMs are driving towards these same circular supply chain models, right? Collecting, reusing, extending lives, right? Repairing. There's the whole new Right to Repair Act, remanufacturing. Again, looking at where's the second life, and sometimes even further down the line, where's the third life of that asset going to be, all the way to the next user. So that's conclusion on challenge number 2, which is chain of custody and asset resale. Let's move to challenge number 3. Recycling is on the rise. Why? Overseas computing values is on the decline. So let's talk about this. So 99% of all the US computing products are exported to third world countries. Yes, let me repeat that. 99% of all US ITAD vendors are exporting the majority of your equipment overseas to third world countries. Microsoft reported over 50 million PCs are retired annually in the United States, and less than 2 million of those are sold as a Microsoft authorized refurbisher device, meaning giving it second life, right, in the secondary market. So, as we're starting to look at these trends, right, of a rise of opportunity here in the United States and a decline in third world countries because they lack funds to buy secondhand computing, we need to really look at these post-COVID declines, right? And then realize where is our opportunities and where are our failures. So if we look at our failures, right, the increase of recycling is not an opportunity. That's actually bad. The increase rate of reuse is really where we want to be, as intended use. And there's 38 million Americans here in the United States that absolutely need your equipment, right? So let's talk about later how we bridge that digital divide to get that equipment to them. So challenge number 4, bridging the digital divide. Well, here's where we start. We start on one of the most important pieces to ESG, Environmental, of course, we talk about reuse versus recycle, right? And then we get to the social piece, right? And that corporate social responsibility effort for your organization is meaningful and means a ton, especially here in the United States, right? So when we start to look at the 38 million Americans without a device and not connected, your nothing is someone else's everything. That refurbishing of that secondhand device is becoming that second user's opportunity. And again, this was challenge number 4 that was brought up by all of the members, right? And you'll see that right in the survey. So let's address those low-income needs, utilize these products within the government programs like BEAD and ACP that are providing government subsidies to low income. And let's roll up our sleeves, right, and get affordable technology to the right hands. So I'd like to conclude by starting with the United Nations established sustainability goals. There's 17 of them. Out of those 17 goals, about 7 of them that really apply specifically to around technology reuse, right, and bridging those digital divides. And I'd like to actually use the statement used by YY, the chairman and CEO of Lenovo. He said, if technology is a privilege, it comes with a mission. So ending on that note, challenge number 4 is bridging the digital divide and using our social piece of ESG. Lastly, I'd like to talk about what's on the horizon in 2024, the impact of AI on ITAD. As we move into 2024, it's going to be the year where we gain an understanding of how generative artificial intelligence, AI as it's been known and talked about, can really improve IT sustainability. What is your organization doing to further the use of AI in order to positively impact the environment and positively impact the next user of your device? Well, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. So, number 1, IT asset identification and evaluation. Those processes could be completely built with AI tools. Efficient data erasure, again, with AI tools. Predictive maintenance, again, with AI tools. Inventory management. Asset redeployment, knowing when we should redeploy an asset based on its technology and for what use. Environmental compliance and all the governance around there. Supply chain optimization and where best are your devices at end of life. Marketplace integration. This is integrating your devices at end of life in the resale marketplace. Reducing e-waste by working with reuse. And then lastly, but very important, cost reduction, looking for areas within your organization to actually reduce costs. So let's wrap up. Today's recap was around trends in data security, chain of custody, social responsibility, and the circular economy. And let's not forget the narrative that's coming up in 2024 around AI and ITAD. We look forward to serving the ITAM community and working with you guys on so many different ways that we can help serve the ITAM community. Have a wonderful day and thank you for listening.